Dear brothers and sisters, it's a great joy to be here at the inauguration session of the Conference on Human Integration. And as we think about humanity, and as we think about uniting, as we look at people all around the globe, and I know many of you are tuned into this broadcast in many different parts of the world, we wonder if there will be a day when we would be together. We wonder if we can experience our oneness. We wonder if those who look different from us, those who speak different languages, those who live in different cultures, those who live in different parts of the world, can one day feel that they're all one and the same. And as we have this conference on human integration, we're exploring means by which we can experience that oneness. All around the globe, there's a need to be one. When we look back at history, we've always wanted to be one. Kirpal Singh Maharaj would often say, he would say, Ek bano, nek bano. He would say, be good, do good, be one. And so being one is something which we as a humanity have tried to attain. When we look back at history, we find rifts, we find wars, we find battles, we find difficulties, and we find people who've kind of taken what they've had and considered them their own and tried not to let others in. And this is where boundaries of cultures and of countries came into being. And so when we think about oneness, is oneness that can be found in this world is a question that comes to each and every one of us. When we look from a scientific point of view, we all realize that the world happened not by itself. Whether we believe in the Big Bang theory, whether we believe in the theory of gravity, whether we believe in other theories, science is telling us that this world came with a Big Bang, with tremendous amount of light and sound. And we, from nothing, were created. When we look at our scriptures, they all tell us, like Ek Pita, Ek Aske Ambara. There's one universal Father, and we're all the children of the same great family of God. Kabir Sahib has said, he says, Awwal Allah, Noor Upaya, Kudrat ke sab bande, Ek Noor te sab jag upja, Kaun bhale kaun mande. He's saying, in the beginning was God, whether you call him Allah, whether you call him Vaheguru, whether you call him Jehovah, whether you call him Paramatma, Prabhu, or by any other name. And from God emanated what is called the Shabd or the Naam or the Holy Word, the latent sound of God. And that brought all creation into being. And since everyone is coming from that source, from God, so there's no question of being high or low. We're all one and the same. And this is the vision of the saints. When we look at the lives of the saints, it's very interesting. We might say that this saint came in this faith, or after the life of this saint is how a faith propagated or a religion propagated. But when you look at their lives, they came for every one of the times. It's not that Lord Buddha came just for the Buddhists. Actually, there were no Buddhists at the time. It's not that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj came for the Sikhs. There were no Sikhs for the time. It's not that any other saint came just for their own people, because their own people were everyone else. And so they came to uplift humanity. They came to have the people of those times realize that we all are one. So whether we look at the life of Lord Jesus Christ, whether we look at the life of Prophet Muhammad, whether we look at the life of Lord Mahavira, or the life of any other great saint and mystic, we find that they came for us to realize that we were one. Now, how do we realize that we are one? If you look at a mathematical model, from a scientific point of view, it is easy to understand that one child is related to two parents. There's father, mother, and there's a child. And those two parents have two more parents, so the child has four grandparents who are all related because there's a relationship of blood. And if you progress up there, there'll be 16 great-grandparents and then maybe 32 great-grandparents. And if you keep on going up, there'll be billions of people who are connected with this one child who's born. Today we have 6 billion people living in this world, and previously there were fewer. And so if you take this mathematical model up there, you would know that somewhere along the line everyone is related to this child. Because how many billions can there be? And when you start to look from that point of view, then you realize that there is something that connects us. If we start to think at another avenue, then what would be interesting is, since we all came from one source, and that is God, if we could experience God, if we could experience that source, if we could experience the light and sound of God, then we would realize that we are a part of God. And as that realization sets in, then we realize that just like we are a part of God, there is someone else who's a part of God too. And so they are not distinct from others, that we are all parts of the same whole. And realizing God is what meditation is all about. Realizing ourselves as not the body, not the mind, not our emotions, not our intellect, but as soul, as spirit, as a conscious being, is what meditation is all about. Yeah, meditation is no longer the hidden pearl which was in the East. Today, meditation is practiced all around the globe. There are hospitals who have their patients practice meditation so they can deal with the physical ailments. There are conferences in which people are taught how to deal with the difficulties of day-to-day life where meditation is used. And meditation is no longer something which is only practiced or comes from the East. Actually, if you look at the lives of those who experience their religion to the best of their capabilities, whether they be saintly people, whether it be monks in a monastery, are sitting in silence, going within and experience the divine light and sound of God. It has been prevalent in each and every one of our faiths, in each and every one of our religions. In all religions have two sides to it. One which is called the exoteric side or the outer side of our religion. That deals with the rites and rituals. That deals with how do we go to a place of worship. Should our head be covered? Should our shoes be taken off? Should we clean our hands with water? And if we go in, do we ring a bell? Do we light some candles? Do we listen to the scriptures? Do we recite the scriptures ourselves? These are all outer signs of experiencing our faith. And then there's the inner side of our faith, which is called the esoteric side of our faith. That part which deals with the spirit, which deals with the soul, which deals with the flights of the souls, which deals with realizing ourselves and deals with being able to realize God and the oneness of each and every one of us. Even though the outer side, the exoteric side of a faith might be different because the rites and rituals are different. And actually, in many faiths, when the faith is practiced in different parts of the world, they have different rituals too, based on the cultures, based on the climate, based on the country. But the inner side of a faith, the esoteric side of a faith, is all one and the same. And that is what is called the mystical side of our being. And that is what deals with meditation, that is what deals with experiencing ourselves as we are, that is what deals with our experiencing the oneness with God. When we think about meditation, there are many avenues in which meditation helps us, benefits us. The first one being the physical. As a person, we find that as we grow, we have ailments. The body might not be working fine, we can't breathe properly, our heart is not breathing well, our lungs are not working well, we have difficulties in the digestive system. We have many difficulties which today doctors are claiming are based on the stress of our existence. The more we interact with people, the more we know, the more we're involved with, the more inputs are coming into our being. And as more and more inputs are coming into our being, then they're creating disharmony. Because the more we have to think about, the more we have to track what happened here, what happened there, what happened there, what happened there. And so we need to be able to deal with it, and that's what stress brings in our life. And the more different people we deal with, because today, it's become like the globe is getting smaller and smaller, people are traveling much more, so we meet with others who are from different backgrounds, different cultures. And this is where most stress comes into our being, because our understanding is different from theirs. And so doctors are telling us that today many difficulties in life come because of stress and strain. The human body is created so it can deal with challenges, can deal with difficulties. And so when we have difficulties, then there are hormones which are secreted in our system, whether you call them adrenaline or whether they're cortisol. They're the hormones that come into our system when we're faced with a challenge. And this is called the flight or fight scenario. When you're confronted with something, either you say, I'm going to be here, I'm going to fight it out. That's called the fight challenge. Or you say, yeah, I'm not going to fight, I'm going to run away. The flight. So the fight and the flight are our responses to any challenge. And that throws hormones into our being. Now, when there's a real challenge, then the body responds accordingly. But when there's stress in our life, and stress is coming from all directions, when we feel there's a challenge and it's not there, which happens in many cases, then these hormones are going into our body. And the more they are in the body, the more difficulty we have, and this is where the organs start not to work as well. And so the doctors are telling us that many of our heart-related diseases, respiratory problems, digestive problems are coming because of stress and strain. There's a very interesting, humorous anecdote. There was a patient, and he went to see a doctor. As was usual, he was asked to sit in the waiting room. So he's sitting in the waiting room, and a long time passes away. And then the nurse comes and says, okay, now we'll take you, the doctor will see you. And so they take this patient from the waiting room into the examination room. So he goes to the examination room, and he's waiting there. And he's waiting for quite a while. And as he's waiting in the examination room, after a while, the doctor comes in. So doctor comes in, he looks at his chart, and looking very seriously, and the patient is waiting, and doctor's going through this, this, and this, and this. And the face of the doctor falls down. So the patient is worried, because all of a sudden the doctor is getting very serious. And so as he's going through the whole chart, the doctor says, I got bad news for you, and I got worse news for you. And the patient's saying, what do you mean you have bad news for me? I've been coming to you for so many years. He said, no, I have very bad news for you. So the patient, what is the bad news? He says, you're going to die tomorrow. Because all these charts and all these signs are showing he can't live anymore, you're going to die tomorrow. So the patient, how can I die? Because I feel okay. And doctor saying, no, all of your tests that we did, everything shows you're going to die tomorrow. And the patient saying, yeah, I haven't written my will, I have so many things to do, I just can't die in 24 hours. And what am I supposed to do? And then he says, doctor said there's worse. And he says, so if this is bad, what could be worse? Doctor says, I was supposed to tell this to you yesterday. So time is running out. When we look at our lives, we find that time is very short and runs out. Today we meet someone, tomorrow we find out they've passed away. Whether we are 20 years old or 30 or 40 or 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 or 100, we know one day we're physically going to die. That's all the time that we have. If we focus it into an arena where we can help ourselves, then we benefit. And today, many doctors all around the globe are suggesting meditation for physical health. So I would say, if you want your health to be fine, then don't wait, meditate. Because meditation is what calms us. Meditation is what puts us in a haven of peace and bliss. Meditation is what puts us in that haven where the difficulties of life are not bothering us anymore. You know, many a times physical problems come because we make believe that there are problems in our life. We think that so-and-so is bringing problems into our lives. We think that our company is not going to work. We think that our boss is against us. We think there's something wrong with the children. Things that the mind is putting into our system and then creating stress for us. And so, if we were to get to a state where we realize that our life is under God's care, then these stresses and strains will go away. When we look at our emotional side, we find meditation helps that tremendously. As a human being, we have relationships and we have many emotions. And those emotions can create all kinds of difficulties for us too. We all think we are good. We all feel we are doing the right things. But many times, the area in which we focus our attention is an area which is not beneficial for us spiritually. In this world, people have many, many beliefs. And there's a very interesting story out of the life of Kabir Sahib. As many of you know, Kabir Sahib has been called the father of modern Santmat. Kabir Sahib had many followers in the Hindu tradition and in the Islamic tradition. And many of his writings and teachings are what talk about unity and talk about peace and talk about oneness of God. And in his times, there was a big business person whose name was Dharam Das. And Dharam Das used to believe in praying to deities. So he would pray to the statues of God. And so one day, as he's praying to the statues of God, Kabir Sahib comes in and tells to Dharam Das, have these statues ever talked to you? Have they given you any guidance? And before Dharam Das could say anything, Kabir Sahib vanishes. So Dharam Das starts to think. He says, I've been praying for many, many years to the statues, but they've never talked to me. And he starts to think, what else can I do? He, being a big businessman, starts to help the poor. And he starts to give free meals to the poor. And one day, as they're cooking the meal, he and his wife are sitting, and they're cooking the meals on these big wooden logs, because in the old days, he would burn the logs and have the fire for the food. And as he's doing that, Kabir Sahib happens to come there. And he says, Dharam Das, you think you're helping the people, but you are a killer. And Dharam Das says, what do you mean I'm a killer? I'm so good to everyone. And Kabir Sahib telling, no, you're a killer. You're killing thousands of insects which are in this wooden log. And Kabir Sahib says that, makes Dharam Das very angry, makes his wife very angry. And she says, how can you say this to me, to my husband? He's such a nice and pious person, he's very helpful. And Kabir Sahib walks away. And as the story is told, Dharam Das thinks, let me cut this log open. As he cuts the log of wood open, there are thousands of insects in them. He starts to think some more. He says, maybe Kabir Sahib is on the right track, he's trying to tell me something. And he tries to find Kabir Sahib, but he can't. he talks to his wife, and his wife says, it's easy. You know that the bees come to the honey. And she says, why don't you throw a feast for all the saints? And say you have a conference of the saints and call all of them, and he'll definitely come, because you have free meals there, and you give alms to all the people. And so Dharamdas did one conference and the second and the third one and spent all his money, but Kabir Sahib never came. Since he had this inkling in his head that he wanted to gain something, now he spent all his money, didn't know what to do, so he was fed up of life and said, I'm going to commit suicide. And he goes to the banks of the river. And as the story is told, before he's jumping there, Kabir Sahib shows up. And Dharamdas says, I've been looking for you, but I can't help you, and I can't give you anything because all my riches and all my alms are gone. And Kabir Sahib very beautifully told him, he said, if I would have come before, you would have thought that bees are coming to the honey. And then Dharamdas realized that my wife talked about this, I was the only one there. How would he know that? And he fell to his feet. And it is said that Kabir Sahib initiated Dharamdas. He became one of his foremost disciples. And so many times our emotional being, because we have relationship, we live in this world, we think that everyone else is very important, whether it be our family people, whether it be people that we work with, whether it be people in our neighborhood, and a lot of our time goes there. But then we realize with time that in all of those relationships, all of those emotions, there are difficulties that come to us. And saints tell us, as we meditate, if we want to keep our emotional state well, we should not wait, we should meditate. Because as we go within, we can still what is happening with us. We can look at life and realize that everyone here is for a short period of time, and our interactions with them are also based on our karma. They're based on what we've done with them before. And this is why in life you'll see, like as a child, as you grow up, you have many friends who live in the neighborhood. But then everyone goes to high school and goes to college. So some person goes to Mumbai, another one goes to Bangalore, someone goes to overseas to some other country. And those friendships are gone. And when you're in college, you develop new friends. And when you meet them, and then you graduate from college, then you get jobs. One person got job in one part of the world, another one. And so they also disintegrate. And then you get married, and then you have other relationships. And so we find with time that relationships are for a certain time, they go away. Because depending on what our karmic relationship is with the person, that's the amount of time we spend with them. And if we realize that, then we will realize that we need to get away from the physical and the emotional and focus on the spiritual. And so meditation benefits us spiritually very well too. But many of us are in this state as is the state of this one person. There was this one person who was living in life properly, and he had started through school, he started to work, and he happened to run across a saintly person. So the saint asked him, he said, do you meditate? He said, no, I'm very busy, I got a new job, I'm learning new technology, I don't find the time for anything else. But as soon as I know all this stuff, I'm going to meditate. So happened a few years passed by, the saint happened to come to the town again, ran into the same person. By this time the person was married, and so saint asked him, are you meditating now? He said, I just got married. I'm trying to know my wife well, we're trying to settle well, and in a few years I'm going to be meditating. So as the story goes, he had children, and then the saints happened to ask him, did you meditate? And he had this, the children now growing, they're getting bigger, let them get married. And pretty soon grandchildren came, and once when the saint came in, he found out the person had passed away. We all feel that the things on the world outside are so important that we don't give time to what is really important, and all of our time goes in the activities of the world outside. And so saints and mystics are saying our true self is not the body, it's not our mind, it's not our intellect. Our true self is our soul. our soul which is conscious, our soul which is a part of God, our soul which can be experienced by us just like we experience everyone else. With these eyes we see what is made of matter in this world. With the ears we hear the sounds of this world. With our nose we smell the smells of this world, the fragrance of this world. With the tongue we taste all the tastes of all the foods. And then we have many senses in the bodies. You touch here, you feel something. You touch here, you feel something. You touch here, you feel something. There are 1,000 senses in the body which are the sense of touch. And so we are living under those senses. A sense of sight, a sense of hearing, a sense of smell, a sense of taste, and a sense of touch are the 5 senses through which our attention, which is the outer expression of our soul, goes out into the world. And this world, the saints call a world of Maya, a world of illusion. And we take this world to be real. We are living in a dream state. I'm sure many of you have had dreams. So whenever you have a dream, it seems very real to you. Nothing of the dream looks like it's not there. It's only when we wake up from the dream that we realize there was a dream. And it's the same thing with us when we focus in this world. Everything in this world seems real to us. And so we take it to be real, and we spend all of our time taking care of the things of this world. But time is passing away, it's ticking away. And this is where the saints say, if you want to grow spiritually, then don't wait, meditate. And there's one more reason to meditate also. And that is that when we physically die, that's not the end of our existence. Physical death is the end of this physical body, but our soul lives on. And whether you believe in the theory of karma or you don't believe in the theory of karma based on the religion that you're born in, but the theory of karma is very straightforward. It says for every action there's a reaction. For every good thought, word and deed you're rewarded. For every bad thought, word and deed you're punished. And so our lives in the future are based on what we do here. And if all of this life is wasted and not growing spiritually, we can't get any more gains in the worlds beyond this world. There's a very interesting example out of the life of a saint, and someone who was a moneylender. There was a moneylender, he would lend money to people, and he was very staunch about getting the money back. And he would charge so much interest that people would never be able to repay him. So he would lend money to the farmers, and pretty soon he would get all their cattle and he would get everything in their homes. And so one day he went to collect money from a farmer. And the farmer said, I don't have any money. So he said, give me all your cattle. And the farmer was very upset. And this guy had taken all his books with him as to how the farmer owed so much money. And so he'd come from the town to the village, and the farmer was upset, so he didn't want to help him anymore. He said, go home yourself, I can't do anything for you. So this person standing, how do I take all my books back? Because it was late at night. And it so happened, as the story is told, that a saint who was meditating had just gotten up, and he heard some commotion. He asked them, what is going on? And the business person or the moneylender said, I have to go back, I have to carry these books back with me, and I'm willing to pay anything so someone can help me. So the saint said, okay, I can help you. I don't need any money, but you have to agree to something. So the moneylender said, yeah, I agree to anything. Just tell me what I should do. And the saint said, okay, I want you to talk about God for 1 hour. That will take that we walk back to your home. So the moneylender said, I don't know anything about God. I only suck the blood of people. I know how to make more money, and I know how to invest my money, and that's all I've done in all my life. So the saint said, okay, you listen to me about God then. And so as this story is told, the saint was talking to him about God, gave him a satsang for an hour, they got to their home. So as they both got to the home of the moneylender, the saint said, in 2 weeks you're going to die. Moneylender said, how do you know I'm going to die? The saint said, no, you're going to die in 2 weeks. But remember, when the angel of death comes to you, They're going to ask you, do you want us to first punish you for all your bad deeds, or do you want any reward for your good deeds? And the saint said, you have no good deeds in your record, you have all bad deeds. But tell them, give me reward for the good deed. And the saint said, you listen to an hour about God. He had an hour of satsang. You get the benefit of that first. And so as this goes on, in 2 weeks, the person dies. And the angel of death comes to get the person. And as the angel of death goes to the record, they can't find anything good. And on the last page, they find that he listened to a satsang. And they asked him, do you want the reward for any good deed, or do you want to be punished? And he remembered the words of the saints. He said, no, reward me for whatever good I did. So they said the reward for this is that he can go and attend another hour of satsang of the saint. So they take him up there. And the saint is sitting in meditation. And so he sits there. And an hour goes by. And the angel of death comes to get him, but they can't get in because the saint is still sitting in meditation. And as it goes, they keep on waiting, get tired and go away. So all these stories are told to make a point. And what is being told here to us is that when we focus our attention on God, when we experience God, when we go to satsang, when we meditate, the benefits are tremendous, not only for this lifetime, but also for the lifetime beyond. And that's another reason to don't wait and meditate. Because whether we want to be physically healthy, whether we want to be spiritually healthy, whether we want to be emotionally healthy, whether we want our spirit to be doing well in the regions beyond, as we connect with the divine light and sound of God, as we meditate within, we experience the truth, we experience the oneness with God, and we are transported from the physical to the divine. One of the techniques that we use in Sant-mat is called Suraj Shabd Yoga. This is a technique of meditation which is very simple. It's a technique which can be practiced by a small child, by a centenarian, by whether you're healthy or sick, because it doesn't need any physical postures. We're asked to sit in any manner in which you are comfortable. Whether you sit on the chair or on the floor, on the sofa, on the bed, doesn't matter. We close our eyes very gently, just like we close them when we go into sleep. Our eyeballs should be straight. Many people feel that the seat of the soul is here. This is what is called the sixth chakra, which is the Ajna chakra, the eye focus, the single or the third eye, the Dasmadwar, or the Shiv Netra. So many people try to raise their eyeballs. Let us know that this is not a physical center, this is a spiritual center. These eyeballs are made of flesh and blood, and their job is to see what is in front of them and send information to the retina, which deciphers what is in front of us, sends signals to the brain, so we can respond accordingly. If we raise our eyes, we're putting pressure on our forehead, which will generally culminate in a headache. So we should keep our eyeballs straight. We want to be totally relaxed. Now, as we close our eyes, what happens is we are bombarded by thoughts. The thoughts come from the mind. The mind does not want us to meditate. The mind wants us to be engrossed in the world. So it has an easy system. It sends thoughts to us. As soon as we get a thought, our attention goes to the thought. We can't experience anything of the divine. So the saints who've done tons of research in the arena came up with a solution which is very similar, whether meditative techniques are from the east or the west, and that is, we use the capacity of the mind. The mind is going to be focused on one thing or another. This is why it's said that an empty mind is a devil's workshop. It can't stay still. It's just like those of you who've been into a laboratory, well, if you've seen mercury, when you put mercury in a test tube, it's never still, it's always shaking. So it's the same thing with our mind. So mind needs to do something at all times. So the saints say, don't fight it, don't stop the mind, give it something to do. And that is where a mantra comes into play. That is what Simran is all about, repeating God's name. And so as we close our eyes, if we repeat God's name mentally, not out loud, if we speak it out loud, our ears would have, but mentally, by the tongue of our thought, then right in front of us in the darkness, light will start to sprout forth. We could see lights of various colors. It could be golden, it could be white, it could be yellow, green, red, orange, or any other color. In the beginning, it seemed like it's coming and going, or there are circles of lights. And with time, it stabilizes. What is happening is that the light is not coming from anywhere from the outside. The light of God is within each and every one of you. When you are focused, you experience the light. And when you're not focused, you experience darkness. And so with time, as we practice the Simran, as our mind gets to be caught up in being focused on God, we see the lights to be stabilized in front of us. And then with time we go beyond the lights to a sky full of stars. If we get there, then we should focus in the middle of the biggest or the brightest star. It'll give way for us to experience the inner moon. And as we focus in the moon, we'll get to the sun, and then with time, those of us who are initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, we get to what is called the radiance of the ethereal form of a master, who becomes our inner guide and guides us from the physical to the astral, to the causal, to the supercausal, and then to Sachkhanda, the region of all truth, which is where we find our oneness with God. So this is a very simple technique, and you can use the techniques at home. So please sit as comfortably as you can. Please close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. There should be no pressure on your eyelid, no pressure on any part of your face. The eyeball should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. As you close your eyes, those of you who are initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. Those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here experience the oneness within. And it is my prayer to the three great masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious Master Sandarshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the divine light within and to experience it in its effulgence. When you go to your homes, I would recommend that you sit for at least half an hour so that you're able to withdraw your sensory current within and you can experience the divine light and sound of God within. When we look at our lives, we find that every day is passing very, very quickly. When we are younger, we feel we have a lot of time, but as life goes by, it seems like things are going faster and faster every day. So I would recommend, whatever state of life you're in, that you think about the realities of your being, you think about your spiritual being, you realize that what is truly important is a spiritual health. As Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj would often say, he would say, on spiritual health depends the health of the body and the mind. So if our spirit is fine, then our physical, emotional, mental states are all going to be good. And so for us to be able to fulfill the purpose for which we came into this world, which is to truly know ourselves and be one with God, we need to first realize that we are soul, and that comes as we meditate. As we go within, as we experience the light and sound of God, we realize that we're not different from God. And then as we soar through the inner spiritual regions and go on the inner journey, then we get to a state where we find the oneness with God. Mirabai has very beautifully put it. She says, Mira, manmani, suras salasmani. She said, my mind only agreed that there was God when my soul went on the spiritual journey. So meditation is a means of going on the spiritual journey. As we all gather here today at this inauguration session of this conference on human integration, I would say that don't wait, meditate, in 2008 and put it into your system so that as you go forward, that the very purpose for which we've all come into this world, which is to know ourselves and to know God, would be fulfilled. Thank you very much.